Are you enjoying the game today, too?
That is certainly a very specific and high-energy way to open our files today.
It's the mandatory greeting. You got to start with the right energy.
Yeah.
You know the vibe. It's Saturday morning, 1986.
Okay.
You're sitting cross-legged on the floor. You've got a bowl of cereal that is like 90% sugar. And you're staring at the TV, ready to have your spirit absolutely crushed by a piece of plastic.
Based on the spirit-crushing comment, I'm going to assume we're opening the Tecmo archives today.
We are diving deep into the Tecmo archives because today, my friend, we are not just talking about a game. We are talking about a trauma. A pyramid. We are talking about the one, the only. Mighty Bomb Jack.
Ah, yes. Tecmo's first ever entry on the family computer, or the NES, released April 24th, 1986.
Yep.
A title that sounds like a superhero movie, but according to the data, plays more like a physics exam that actively hates you.
That is the perfect description. It's the game that made me question my own intelligence as a 6-year-old. I remember just staring at the screen, tears welling up, wondering why the game was punishing me for trying to be rich.
Being rich. I assume you're referring to the coin collection mechanic.
Yes, but we'll get to the torture room later. First, we have to unpack what this thing actually is. Because this wasn't just a sequel, right? It was a total transformation.
Precisely. And that's our mission for this deep dive, to explore how a simple arcade jumping game evolved into this massive, brutal action-adventure puzzle that haunts players to this day.
Yeah.
To understand Mighty Bomb Jack, you really have to look at its predecessor, the original arcade Bomb Jack from 1984.
Okay, let's set the stage.
Yeah.
The arcade game was simple, right? Just one screen, collect the bombs, don't die. Pure reflexes.
Correct. It was a fixed screen action game. But when Tecmo brought it to the home console 2 years later, they didn't just port it. They evolved it.
How so?
Well, think of it this way. If the arcade Bomb Jack is like Mario Bros., you know, the one with the pipes on a single screen.
Right. Then Mighty Bomb Jack is Super Mario Bros. It became a side-scrolling action-adventure.
That's a huge leap in design. We went from clear this room to explore a giant pyramid.
A giant pyramid consisting of 256 screens.
256. In 1986. That is just absurd. That's like asking a toddler to memorize an encyclopedia. How did they expect kids to navigate that?
It was certainly ambitious. The sources highlight that just mapping out the game was a genuine challenge for players. It wasn't just left to right, it was a maze.
Up, down, all over.
Exactly. And just to confirm, the overseas title remained Mighty Bomb Jack, so it's distinct from the original.
And the feeling of it, you remember the jump, because that's the first thing that hits you when you press that A button.
The sources refer to it as the floaty jump.
It wasn't just a jump, it was like defying gravity. It felt magical, but also so slippery, like you were controlling a superhero wearing wool socks on a freshly waxed floor.
That unique inertia is actually listed as one of the game's pros. Once you mastered it, you could perform some incredible ad-lib dodges. Once you mastered it, being the key phrase. Before mastery comes a lot of falling into pits.
A lot of falling.
So much falling. But okay, let's get into the story. Because for a game about a guy in a cape collecting bombs, the lore is surprisingly royal.
It is. The setup involves the demon king Beelzebub, who is essentially Beelzebub, who has kidnapped King Pamela, the queen, and the princess.
Wait. Can we just pause on King Pamela?
It's written right there in the manual. King Pamela.
A male king named Pamela.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I respect it. That's progressive for the 80s. I am King Pamela, fear my beard.
I believe the focus here should be on the rescue mission. The Mighty Brothers tried to save the royal family, but they failed.
Of course they did.
So it's up to the youngest brother, Jack, to enter the pyramid alone.
It's always the youngest sibling doing the hard work, isn't it? The older brothers probably got captured on purpose just to get out of doing chores. Oh no, Beelzebub got me. Guess I can't take out the trash, Jack.
A likely theory. And the enemies in this pyramid, they aren't your standard Goombas. The roster is quite eclectic.
Eclectic is a very polite way of saying nightmare fuel.
Well, you have Hanozo, which is Beelzebub's pet. You have mummies, which spawn at the start of every enemy cycle.
And the turtle. Don't forget the turtle.
Gamade, yes, a turtle with jet propulsion.
A jet-powered turtle. Because why walk when you can fly at Mach speed directly into my face?
And then there's Death Fae, which is a living fireball, and Horus the bird. It's a mix of Egyptian mythology and a total fever dream.
It really sets the tone.
Yeah.
But the real meat of this is the system. Because this isn't just jump and land. The mechanics are weirdly complex.
They are. Let's break down the controls. The A button is your jump, but it's variable. If you hold up, you go all the way to the ceiling.
Right.
If you hold down, you hover low.
And every single jump gives you 10 points, which seems nice until you realize the game is secretly judging everything you do.
Which brings us to the mighty power gimmick. This is where a lot of people get confused. You collect mighty coins to power up, and you activate that power by pressing the B button.
Okay, so I press B, I get stronger. Simple enough?
Not quite. There are levels. Level 1 turns you blue, which lets you open orange chests. Level 2 turns you orange, and you can open chests just by touching them from the side.
Oh, that's handy.
And level 3 turns you green. For 5 seconds, every enemy on the screen turns into a coin.
The ultimate weapon. I want to be green all the time. Turning turtles into cold, hard cash.
But there's a catch. The game actually downgrades your level based on how many times you press the A button, the jump button.
Wait, hang on. So, to play the game, I have to jump, but jumping makes me weaker.
Exactly. Level 1 degrades after 20 jumps. Level 2 after 10, and level 3, that degrades after just 5 jumps.
That is just sadistic. It's
Yeah.
like giving someone a sports car but telling them the engine explodes if they use the turn signal.
Yeah.
You have to hoard these powers, but the basic act of moving ruins them.
It forces a certain efficiency, and then on top of that, there's the bomb sequence, just like the arcade version.
You're right, the puzzle element.
If you collect all the lip bombs first, in the correct order, you get a 10,000 point bonus.
Which is super satisfying. But what happens if I get too greedy? What if I want all the mighty coins?
Well, this is perhaps the most famous or infamous feature of Mighty Bomb Jack.
Oh no.
The torture room.
The torture room. Even the name is terrifying for a kid's game.
It acts as a punishment mechanic. If you collect more than 9 mighty coins, so the instant you grab that 10th one, or if you run out of time, you aren't killed.
No, you get something worse.
You are sent to the torture room.
It's basically game jail.
You lose all your coins, and to escape, you must jump 50 times.
50 times. And remember, there are enemies in there trying to kill you while you do your penitence cardio.
It was a very harsh lesson in what the sources call greed management. The game is explicitly telling you, do not take too much.
I feel like this game was designed by my parents to teach me moral philosophy through suffering. Greed leads to the torture room, kid. Remember that.
Well, speaking of the game teaching you lessons, we have to talk about the grading system. This is fascinating. It's called the game deviation value, or GDV.
Oh, this is where it gets really weird. Because usually games just give you a high score. But this game gives you a hensachi, a deviation score.
And for our listeners who might not know, a deviation score is standard in the Japanese education system. It determines how smart you are compared to the average student.
It is the thing that stresses out every student in Japan. And Tecmo put it in a video game? Why would they do that?
According to the sources, the president of Tecmo at the time proposed it himself. His reasoning was, and I quote, "Kids these days are used to deviation scores in school."
That is the worst reasoning I have ever heard in my life.
Hey.
I played video games to escape being graded. I didn't want Jack the superhero to look at me and say, well, you survived, but your academic performance was a C-.
It graded you on secrets found, your number of deaths, items collected. It meant you couldn't just clear the game, you had to play it correctly to get a good grade.
So stressful. Okay, let's talk about the structure. We mentioned the pyramid, but there's a specific room that kind of breaks the flow, right? The royal room.
Yes. At the end of each round, you enter the royal room. And this switches the gameplay back to the fixed screen style of the original arcade Bomb Jack.
It's a nice little nod to the original.
And it's a strategic point. You can actually warp past levels from here. But, and this is crucial, warping causes you to skip items that you need for the best ending.
Of course it does, because this game hates shortcuts almost as much as it hates greed.
You mentioned items. We're talking about crystal balls and the Sphinx.
Exactly. The Sphinx unlocks doors and the crystal balls are hidden. To see the true ending, you have to find these secret items.
And when we say hidden, we don't mean behind a cracked wall. We mean jump in this random empty space and hope something appears. Which leads us to the evaluation of the game. If we look at the pros and cons, that obscure nature is a real double-edged sword.
Okay, let's start with the good stuff. Why do people still talk about this game with, a smile?
The movement. As we discussed, that floaty jump allows for a high degree of freedom. It feels really good to control once you get the hang of it. Also, the sheer volume. 256 screens was just massive. And the atmosphere, it was surprisingly free.
Free? What do you mean by free?
Well, the sources point out that inside this supposedly Egyptian pyramid, you find totem poles and trees just growing out of the floor. It's this very chaotic, dreamlike aesthetic that's fun to look at.
It's like the level designers just threw in whatever clip art they had lying around. Pyramid? Sure. Put a tray in it. Why not?
And we absolutely cannot forget the music, composed by Tsukasa Masuka.
Oh, the music is a banger. An absolute classic. Even if you were stuck in the torture room, at least you had a catchy tune to listen to.
The sources praise it very highly. It's catchy, it's mysterious in the hidden rooms, and it's always upbeat. It sticks in your head.
But then we have to talk about the cons. The struggle.
The difficulty is widely described as unreasonable and brutal.
It's the total lack of a safety net, isn't it?
Completely. There is no saved battery, there are no passwords, and most crucially, there are absolutely no continues.
Say that again for the people in the back. 256 screens and no continues.
None. If you lose all your lives on screen 250, you go right back to the start, screen 1.
That's psychological warfare. How did anyone beat this thing?
Very, very few did. The sources note that clearing it without cheats or using the infinite life trick is incredibly rare.
Wow.
It creates a situation where the game deviation value is almost mocking you because just finishing the game at all is a miracle.
It's that old school design philosophy. Make the game last longer by making it impossible.
And yet, despite that, it has this incredible legacy.
Oh, absolutely. It's iconic. And there's some really weird bits of trivia in here. Tell me about the comedian Facebomb.
Yes. Mighty Bunchy Jack.
Bunchy Jack.
Yes. There was a TV show called Sukai TV Game, Famicom Zenin Shugo, and they gave away a special version of the game to kids in the studio audience.
And what was so special about it?
The bombs in the game were replaced with the face of the famous Japanese comedian Katsura Bunchy.
That is the most 1980s Japan thing I have ever heard. Just a floating comedian's head instead of explosives. Amazing.
It's estimated that only about 30 copies of it exist. It's one of the rarest Famicom cartridges in the world.
So if you find a cartridge with a comedian's face on it at a yard sale, you buy it immediately.
Indeed. Jack also made a cameo in Captain Tsubasa 2, that is, Captain Tsubasa 2. He appears as a hidden character.
From pure jumping to soccer, the man has range.
And we have to mention Game Center CX.
Yurkacho Marino.
His challenge of Mighty Bomb Jack is legendary. It took him 4 days to beat it.
4 days. Usually they wrap those challenges up in, 12 hours?
It was so epic that it actually spawned a movie. Game Center CX, the movie, 1986. Mighty Bomb Jack. The struggle against this one game became a cinematic event.
That really sums it all up, doesn't it? It's a game that beats you down so hard that if you actually win, it feels like a movie script.
It does. It was also serialized as a manga in One Pack Comic, proving it captured the imagination of children, even if the gameplay just captured their frustration.
So, bringing it all back home.
Yeah.
What is the final verdict on Mighty Bomb Jack?
I'd say it's a game of immense ambition. It tried to mix arcade scoring with Super Mario-style adventure and even some RPG-style riddle solving.
A jack-of-all-trades, if you will.
I will ignore that pun. But yes, the consensus is that while the difficulty is unreasonable and the puzzles are obscure, the core gameplay, that jump, the music, the sheer scale, it makes it a memorable classic.
A flawed masterpiece.
It's a very good way to put it.
It's the kind of game you absolutely hate while you're playing it, but you brag about having played it 20 years later.
Exactly.
You know, it raises a question for me. We talked about that game deviation value, the grading system. Does being graded actually make a game more addictive? Like, does that judgment push us to be better, or does it just add unnecessary stress to what should be a fun hobby?
That's a profound question. In the modern era, we have achievements and trophies which are similar. But a deviation score implies you're failing compared to others. Perhaps that social pressure is the ultimate motivator, even in a single-player game.
Or maybe we're all just masochists.
That is also a strong possibility.
Well, despite the stress, the math exams, the torture room, and the jet-powered turtles, I can still hear that music. And I think I'm going to go listen to it right now.
Just don't try to jump 50 times in your living room.
No promises. All right, everyone, thank you for diving into the pyramid with us. Will the game be fun tomorrow, too? Have a nice gaming